Good morning. Wow. Welcome to Kitsap Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. Whoever you are and wherever you have come from, for this hour we are here one gathered congregation and all are welcome. I invite you to follow along in the order of service. For those of you attending virtually, all the links for this service, including the order of service, are on our website and in this morning's worship service email. If you are here in the sanctuary, please silence all your electronic devices. My name is Beth Wilson. I'm excited to be your lay leader today. I haven't done it in at least 5 years. I'm chair of the worship committee, and we worship committee members usually don't lay lead. But today we came up a little short-handed, and I have this distinct joy of lay leading for this service. Our worship leader this morning is Reverend Dr. Barry Andrews, who spoke in our pulpit last April. He is the Minister Emeritus of the Shelter Rock Unitarian Universalist Congregation in Long Island, New York. He and his wife now call Bainbridge Island home. Reverend Andrews is the author of several books on Transcendentalism and Transcendentalist authors. I'd like to welcome any visitors. If you are here in person, we would all love to welcome you outside after the service during our very special potluck. If you are attending virtually, please introduce yourselves after the service at our Zoom coffee hour. Everyone is welcome to attend the Zoom coffee hour directly after the service. The link is in the email that went out this morning and will show on your screen following this worship service. You may need to use the password coffee with a capital C to be admitted to the coffee hour. This This week is our last virtual coffee hour. So if you can attend, you can greet your fellow virtual participants this time, and hopefully next time you'll be here. Announcements can be found on our website at kuuf.org or in our weekly newsletter, The Candle. Now, please welcome Lenny Byron to the pulpit for this exciting announcement.
Good morning. I have a very special and long-awaited announcement this morning, and that is the Ministerial Selection Committee, of which I'm a member, as well as KUUF's Board of Directors, have finalized our selection for a new contract minister here at KUUF. Her name is Reverend Crystal Xlibris, and she comes highly recommended by both the search team as well as her colleagues, whom we also interviewed during the interview process. Reverend Crystal officially begins her three-quarter-time ministry here at KUUF this month, and we look forward to her tenure as our new minister. Reverend Crystal will also be available at our meet and greet potluck following today's service. At this time, I would like to ask Reverend Crystal to come up and introduce herself to our congregation. So please give a warm round of applause to our new minister, Reverend Crystal Xlibris.
Thank you. As Lenny said, I am Reverend Crystal Xlibris. I will give a description of myself. I am a white cisgender woman. I have short, dirty blonde hair. I'm wearing a white button-down shirt with a rainbow-colored bow tie and a blue vest. I am so happy to be here with you this morning and going forward. Thank you to the Ministerial Selection Committee and the board for this opportunity. I look forward to getting to know all of you and to share in our time together. I'd like to share a quote with you this morning from Rumi. Rumi tells us, "Your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it, and embrace them." I am excited for our journey together that starts this month as we work to overcome those barriers to love and grow together in our ministry. Thank you for the warm welcome, and I look forward to getting to know you.
Thank you, Lenny and Reverend Crystal. Welcome. We are thrilled to have you join our beloved community. We acknowledge that the land on which we gather is the Aboriginal territory of the Suquamish people. Expert fishermen, canoe builders, and basket weavers, the Suquamish live in harmony with the lands and waterways along Washington's Central Salish Sea, as they have for thousands of years. Here, the Suquamish live and protect the land and waters of their ancestors for future generations, as promised by the Point Elliott Treaty of 1855. Please rise as you are willing and able to sing our musical call to worship, a Unitarian Universalist favorite, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In, number 361 in the Singing the Living Tradition hymnal, also known as our Gray hymnal.
Good morning. I'm pleased to be with you again today, and would like to open our service with these words from the Hindu poet Kalidasa. Look to this day, for it is life, the very life of life. In its brief course lie all the verities and realities of your existence, the bliss of growth, the joy, glory of action, the splendor of beauty. For yesterday is but a dream, and tomorrow is only a vision. But today, well lived, makes every yesterday a dream of happiness, and every tomorrow a vision of hope. Look well, therefore, to this day.
Now, join me in lighting our chalice. If you have one of your own chalice or a candle at home, please light it as I read these chalice lighting words. As we come together to worship, we remind ourselves to treat all people kindly, because we are all one family. To take good care of the earth, because it is our home. And to live lives full of love and goodness, because that is how we will all become the best that we can be. Please join me in the spoken affirmation. The words will appear on the screen. We gather as a caring community, seeking life's deeper meanings. We value diversity and affirm the worth of all living things. We strive to speak truth in love, to act for justice, to grow in spirit, and to care for the earth. We celebrate with open hearts and minds the creative power that sustains and transforms us. Now our Director of Religious Education, Exploration, will share our time for all ages.
Good morning, everyone. So today I have a story by Kate Doperock and illustrated by Christopher Silas Neal titled Hurry Up, a book about slowing down. And I love on the inside of the dust cover was this little picture of the person hanging that says, "What's your hurry?" Hurry up. Hurry down. Hurry round and round and round. Hurry here, hurry there, hurry, scurry everywhere. Hurry out, hurry in, hurry if you want to win. Hurry so you'll reach the top. Hurry. 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 Stop. Slow things down. Take a break. Look around, for goodness sake. Breathe it in, blow it out. This is what it's all about. Make a wish, take a walk, listen to the forest talk. Go explore, make new friends. Find out where the rainbow ends. Count the stars, easy does. Marvel at the nighttime buzz. Mosey home, stretch and yawn. Race is off and rest is on. No more fast, slow instead. Dreams and lazy days ahead. It feels like everybody just kind of slowed right there. Well, good morning, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that story. I hope you all have a moment where you can slow down and enjoy the beauty around us and enjoy the community we create here together. Now, please join together in singing The Young Ones Out.
It is so nice to sing. Wow. Our next hymn, Gather the Spirit, is one of three in the Singing the Living Tradition hymnal, the Gray Hymnal, written by the UU leader Jim Scott in 1990. He once served as co-chair of the UU Seventh Principle Project, which is our commitment to caring for the earth, as well as one of the creators of the Green Sanctuary program. It is really heartwarming to know that he and other Unitarian Universalist hymn writers are still alive and active in our faith denomination. Please stand as you're willing and able to sing hymn number 347 in the Gray Hymnal, also known, let's see, Gather the Spirit. Gather the Spirit. Now it is time for our morning offering. If your offering is for Kitsap Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, please put it in one of the envelopes in the basket. Loose change, cash, or checks placed in the basket will go to this month's recipient of our charitable giving, the Bremerton Backpack Brigade, which provides weekly take-home food for elementary school students in backpacks. If this is your first time at KUUF, since you are our guest, there is no need for you to contribute. Let there be an offering to strengthen and sustain our community, which is sacred to so many of us. Let's enjoy a gift of music from our pianist, Brian Kenny, as he plays Dry Intermezzi, Opus 117, Movement 1 by Johannes Brahms. Oh, that was beautiful, Brian. Thank you. Now is the time for our joys and sorrows. When shared together, our joys are amplified and our sorrows are lessened. A sorrow is from Genevieve Emmett that Nathan's Aunt Helen passed away on Friday, the day before his Aunt Jeannie's memorial yesterday. So that's sad. Our heart goes out to the Emmett family. Melinda, our director of religious exploration, who read us our story, shares her sorrow that her mother, Linda Hickey, fell. Her joy is after a trip to the ER, she's patched up and healing. Kathy Money said that her joy is to be in Arizona spending precious get-to-know time with her grandson, Ethan. And Bonner's joy is that even though the injection site is still tender and sore, 2 days plus out, he was able to receive the monkeypox vax in Seattle. Yay, Bonner. And we light one last candle for those joys and sorrows that are still too tender to share. Please join me in a moment of prayer or intention. In the spirit of community, in which we find strength and common purpose, we share our sorrows, our joys, our hopes, and dreams. We have turned our minds and hearts toward one another in trust, giving love, seeking comfort, and celebrating together. We are part of the web of life that makes us one with all humanity, one with all the universe. In the moments of our lives, for those loved ones and events shared this morning, and for those we yet hold in the silence of our hearts, we are truly grateful for the love and support of this beloved community. May the spirit of life and love bring peace to all of us. Amen, and blessed be. Please remain seated as we sing Spirit of Life, hymn number 123 in our gray hymnal. For those at home, the words will appear on your screen.
My first reading this morning is from the poetry of Ralph Waldo Emerson. He considered this simple poem one of his favorites. It's called Days. Daughters of time, the hypocritic days, muffled and dumb like barefoot dervishes, and marching single in an endless file, bring diadems and faggots in their hands. To each they offer gifts after his will, bread, kingdoms, stars or sky that holds them all. I, in my pleached garden, watched the pomp, forgot my morning wishes, hastily took a few herbs and apples, and the day turned and departed silent. I, too late, under her solemn fillet, saw the scorn. My second reading is not from the Meditations of Marcus Aurelius, as noted in the order of service, but from the poetry of Mary Oliver. This is a poem called Going to Walden. It isn't very far as highways lie. I might be back by nightfall, having seen the rough pines and the stones and the clear water. Friends argue that I might be wiser for it. They do not hear that far-off Yankee whisperer, how dull we grow from hurrying here and there. Many have gone and think me half a fool to miss a day away in the cool country, maybe. But in a book I read and cherish, going to Walden is not so easy a thing as a green visit. It is the slow and difficult trick of living and finding it where you are. Now, please join me in a moment of reflection, followed by our post-reflection music, composition also by Johannes Brahms and played by Robin Singh. I once thought that religion was largely a matter of creeds and rituals. But over the years, I've changed my mind concerning the nature and object of religion. I've come to conclude that religion is not so much about believing as it is about living. I agree with a remark Ralph Waldo Emerson made in his journal. He said, "Religion is neither beliefs nor rituals. It is not something else to be got, to be added, but is a new life of those faculties which you have." For me, the essence of religion is waking up, becoming alive in the awareness of the present moment. When I was a child, I used to say the familiar prayer, "Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I should die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take." Today, my prayer is simply to wake up before I die. Most of the time, it appears to me as though we are sleepwalking through life, anesthetized, distracted, dulled alike to joy and pain. We become mired in everyday routine. Whole chunks of our lives go by in a flash. When did my children get so big? Where did all these wrinkles and gray hairs come from? How did I come to be where I am today? My reading of the Transcendentalists has led me to the conclusion that every moment is precious, that we must make the most of each one of them, that the greatest challenge of life is to wake up before we die, and that this is what religion is really all about. In a poem by Emerson that I read earlier, he writes that the days of our lives offer us gifts that we may accept or refuse. Forgetting his morning wishes, that is to say, his youthful aspirations, Emerson hastily takes only a few herbs and apples. Too late does he realize the lost opportunity. He was offered so much, but took so little. No one was more insistent on this particular score than Henry David Thoreau. In 1845, he went out to Walden Pond to contemplate the purpose of life. He wrote Walden, he said, in an effort to wake his neighbors up. Why is it that human beings give so poor an account of their day if they have not been slumbering, he asks. He knew, as we should also know, that only in the present moment can there be happiness or change or growth. Life exists in the here and now. We are always getting ready to live, Emerson says. There is very little life in a lifetime. Only by making the most of every moment can we be assured of living life to the fullest. This may seem obvious or even superficial, but when you're young, you seem to have your whole life in front of you. You think you have plenty of time to spare. As we get older, however, there is a poignant urgency to savor experience as fully as possible. As with so many things, this is easier said than done. Awareness is the key, obviously. The best way, indeed the only way, to capture moments is to pay attention. And although this may seem simple, it is not necessarily easy. Our habitual lack of awareness, our tendency to be distracted and dissatisfied, keeps us pretty well dulled to life. To wake up, to achieve awareness, requires intentionality. It takes practice. It is how we cultivate our souls. Becoming aware means being present in the moment. We are not trying to improve ourselves or to get somewhere else. Thoreau went to Walden Pond to cultivate attentiveness, but the universe coalesces at every point in space and time, so that any moment and any place can be a gateway to the infinite. God culminates himself in the present moment and never will be more divine in the lapse of all the ages, Thoreau writes. And we are enabled to apprehend what is sublime and noble only by the perpetual instilling and drenching of the reality that surrounds us. I find that wherever I am, even in the midst of the city, I can catch glimpses of the sublime if I take time to slow down and look around. As Mary Oliver reminds us, we don't need to go to Walden Pond. We can find it where we are. While living at the pond, Thoreau would often sit in his doorway for hours in contemplation as the sun moved across the sky and the light and shadows changed almost imperceptibly. He says, "There were times when I could not afford to sacrifice the bloom of the present moment to any work, whether of the head or hands. I grew in those seasons like corn in the night, and they were far better than any work of the hands would have been. They were not time subtracted from my life, but so much over and above my usual allowance. I realized what the Orientals mean by contemplation and the forsaking of works." Contemplation is an important part of my own spiritual practice. I hesitate to call it meditation because it does not involve formal exercises of body, breath, or brain. It is a relaxed awareness. Behind my home, I have a small Chinese-style garden where, in one secluded corner, weather permitting, I sit in a chair as Thoreau did in his sunny doorway. The hours I linger there are measured by the movement of the sun, not the hands of a clock. I listen to the birds and watch them flit amongst the trees. I muse and daydream, read and write. Although I don't think of this practice in practical terms, it is the most productive and well-spent part of my day. Like Thoreau, we should savor the moment-to-moment unfolding of the present. We are so busy hurrying about, trying to get ahead of the person in the lane next to us, that one day we will discover that we have simply rushed through life and now it is gone. In his book, Wherever You Go, There You Are, psychologist John Kabat-Zinn writes, "Who is to say that Thoreau's realizations of one morning spent in his doorway are less memorable or have less merit than a lifetime of busyness lived with scant appreciation for stillness and the bloom of the present moment?" Thoreau was teaching a lesson as important today as it was in his own time, pointing out the value of contemplation and detachment. In keeping with Thoreau's insistence that we must learn to reawaken and keep ourselves awake, the Transcendentalists engaged in a number of spiritual practices aimed at achieving this result. These were part and parcel of what they called self-culture. While this term sounds a bit quaint to the modern ear, it means quite simply the cultivation of the soul. Their practices consisted of walks in nature, contemplation, solitude, reading, journal writing, conversations with friends, and simple living. The Transcendentalists held that spirituality required outward manifestation of inward aspirations. For them, the moral and the spiritual were necessarily interrelated. Accordingly, they sought to achieve congruence between spiritual insights and ethical actions in all areas of their lives. On Bainbridge Island, where I live, I enjoy walks in the Grand Forest, at Blodell Gardens, or along the beach, all within easy reach. Sauntering was the term Thoreau gave to walking as a spiritual exercise. He took notes of his thoughts and observations as he went along, but he viewed his walks as a form of meditation. "I think that I cannot preserve my health and spirits unless I spend 4 hours a day at least sauntering through the woods and over the hills and fields, absolutely free from all worldly engagements." A few hours in the course of a busy week are all that I'm able to manage, but they are hours well spent. They uplift my spirits and remind me that I am part of something much larger than myself. The Transcendentalists regarded reading as another important spiritual practice. To read well, that is, to read true books in a true spirit, Thoreau writes, is a noble exercise and one that will task the reader more than any exercise which the customs of the day may esteem. They read the classics, poetry, and the scriptures of other religions, seeking inspiration rather than information. My reading, too, has consisted largely of poetry and the spiritual classics. Rumi, Wordsworth, Whitman, and Mary Oliver are some of my favorite poets. I include the meditations of Marcus Aurelius, the writings of Chinese philosophers Mencius and Zhuangzi, Walden, and Emerson's essays in my library of spiritual classics. Contemporary writers, including Annie Dillard, Thomas More, and John Kabat-Zinn, also remind me of the wisdom to be gained from reading as a spiritual practice. Many religious liberals have expressed a desire for more spirituality in their lives and their churches. They have found spiritual richness in Buddhism, Judaism, Christianity, goddess religion, paganism, and other faiths. I have discovered it in my own religious tradition. As Unitarian Universalist scholar David Robinson once observed, like a pauper who searches for the next meal, never knowing of the relatives whose will would make him rich, American Unitarians lament their vague religious identity, standing upon the richest theological legacy of any American denomination. Possessed of a deep and sustaining history of spiritual achievement and philosophical speculation, religious liberals have been, ironically, dispossessed of that heritage. The heritage he refers to is that of Transcendentalism. In my writing and my own everyday spiritual practice, I have tried to reclaim that heritage. More than anything else, the Transcendentalists, Emerson and Thoreau in particular, have instructed me in the art of life. In his journal, The Intimate Record of His Inner Life, Thoreau wrote the following: "The art of life, was there anything memorable written upon it? By what disciplines to secure the most life? With what care to watch our thoughts? To observe what transpires not in the street, but in the mind and heart of me? I do not remember any page which will tell me how to spend this afternoon. The art of spending a day. If it is possible that we may be addressed, it behooves us to be attentive. If by watching all day and all night I may detect some trace of the ineffable, then will it not be worth the while to watch?" In my own way, I have adopted the disciplines they developed for practicing what Thoreau called the art of life. Through contemplation and solitude, reading and conversation with friends, walks in nature, and modest living, I find myself better able to observe what transpires not in the street, but in the mind and heart of me. Occasionally, I have detected some trace of the ineffable, and that has made all the difference. And now, please stand as you are willing and able to sing our closing hymn, number 163, in the Singing the Living Traditional Hymnal, the Gray Songbook, "For the Earth Forever Turning." The words will appear on the monitors in a video.
For our lives, for all we cherish. our joyful song of peace. For the sun, for rain and thunder, for the seasons harmony, for our lives, for all creation, sing we our joyful praise to thee. For the world we raise our voices, for the home that gives us birth. In our joy we sing, returning home to our blue-green hills of earth.
You may be seated. After the service is over today, please immediately exit through the foyer. You're encouraged to greet each other outside. Please join us for a potluck to meet and greet Reverend Crystal. All who are attending from home or elsewhere are invited to greet each other during our virtual coffee hour on Zoom. The link to join is in this morning's email. The password is coffee, spelled with a capital C. As we extinguish our chalice this morning, we extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we meet again.